side is a list of possible characteristics and/or structures. In the middle, it says how that structure or characteristic would relate to a prokaryote. And on the right, how that would relate to a eukaryote. So remember, the eukaryotes are the fungi, the algae, the protozoa. The prokaryotes are the bacteria, the mycoplasma, the rickettsia, and the viruses are out in the woods again, because they're acellular. So we have these features on the left: the size of the cell, the nucleus, membrane-bound organelles, flagella, glycocalyx, cell wall, plasma membrane, cytoplasm, ribosomes, DNA, how they do cell division, and how they do sexual reproduction. Yes, there is sexual reproduction in some of these cells. It's not restricted. We think we own it, we don't. Animals conduct sexual reproduction, plants conduct sexual reproduction. Because all that means is two members of the same species get together and form a progeny. That's all it means. All the stuff you hear in the media doesn't mean anything. Okay? So let's look at this. The size of the cell is important because prokaryotic cells are tiny and eukaryotic cells are huge. Huge. 50 times. 50 times the size of a bacterial cell a human cell can be. The nucleus. A prokaryotic cell has no nucleus. So therefore, there would be no nuclear membrane or nucleoli. Nucleoli are interesting structures that show up in a true nucleus. So, the eukaryotic cell does have a true nucleus with a nuclear membrane and nucleoli inside of the nucleus. You know, it was funny if you go back to 1950, nobody would, but if you did, I'll show you what a cell looked like in all the textbooks. Here's a membrane, here's a nucleus, that's a cell. 1950, that was a cell. Because they had no idea what was in a cell at that time. How come? Nobody had invented the electron microscope. So the electron microscope gets invented. Oh, they used the term cytoplasm, that was good. There was some junk in here, and that was cytoplasm. It was really protoplasm. And then it had a membrane. We knew it had a membrane because we knew that things would go in and out of it, but we had no idea what the membrane looked like. Okay? Now, they invent the electron microscope and do these amazing preparations of cells that will magnify 250,000 times. Not 100 times like our microscopes in the lab, not 400 times. 250,000 times. So they took pictures of cells and they looked at them and they said to each other, what the hell is all that in the cytoplasm? They had no idea. What they had discovered through the electron microscope is the ultrastructural organelles. The ultrastructural organelles. Those things inside the cell that acted like baby organs. That's the L part. Little organs. Little organs that had their own responsibility, that could do their own function, but they were captured inside the cell. So they were actually doing the function of the cell, the work of the cell. This was amazing, and then they had to figure out what they were, what their responsibility was, what they did for the cell. How did they get reproduced? Because cells do reproduce. They divide. Cells replace themselves. Human cells replace themselves only if they fall into 2 of the 4 tissue types. Epithelial cells replace themselves. Connective tissue cells replace themselves. Connective tissue replaces itself. That's it, folks. Muscle tissue does not replace itself, and nerve tissue does not replace itself. If it did, we wouldn't have any people paralyzed. So, here you've got the work of epithelial cells. They repair and replace themselves. Today is Thursday, right? By next Wednesday, I'll see you Tuesday. By next Wednesday of next week, 6 days from now, you will have replaced all of the epithelial cells in your digestive system. That's the way they get replaced. So what are they doing? They're undergoing mitosis and they're dividing. If they screw up and go too fast, you could start a tumor. If they don't replace themselves, because you don't have the building blocks to replace them, then they'll go much longer than 6 days, much longer than 30 days, much longer than 90 days. If you have no nutrition, you can't repair. What do you need to repair these cells? Proteins, carbohydrates, lipids, water. You always need water, yeah. If you don't have those things coming in, and you're in a nation and a country where starvation is going on, your cells are not going to divide. And that's why you get truncated growth in areas in the world where there is not enough nutrition. You'll get a genetic program that says, here's the way you're going to grow, because your genes will say that, and here's how big you're eventually going to be, and then you'll grow to that height. But if you don't have the building blocks to do that, you're not going to reach it. So when we think about reading an article that says the Americans are getting bigger, well, they're getting this way bigger, but they are also getting this way bigger. How come? Because they have better nutrition. Go to a museum and look at a suit of armor that was worn by the knights that were 5 feet and under. There were no 7 feet knights wearing a suit of armor going into battle. They would have fallen off the horse. It's too much weight. They had to have they were all little. They didn't get the right nutrition. They couldn't grow to the maximum of their height. So we're not changing our genes. We're allowing our genes to direct development because we have excellent nutrition. And in areas of starvation, in countries of starvation, man, they're doing such interesting research. And it is so scary, really. You know how people go to a shrink and complain about their mother? My mother did this to me, my mother did that to me, my mother didn't do this to me, my mother didn't do that to me. Now we're finding that your time in the uterus is the most important time of your life, not for just being born, which is a big event, by the way. And there's several people here that have pushed human beings out of their bodies. That's an event you'll never forget. If you look at the prenatal time frame, a lot of the diseases that will hit you in the 40s and 50s are set up in utero. So now you can bitch about mom for everything. Not only did she not do this, but now I have diabetes because in the prenatal stage, our carbohydrate metabolism was screwed up. You can spend forever in the psychiatrist's office just whining. Or you can say, well, I'm here, I'll do the best I can. To be a mother, to take on that responsibility is enormous because there's no end to it, if you know what I mean. Talk to your mothers. Ask them if there's a day go by, they don't worry about it. And they probably the answer is there isn't. Because that's a concern anyway, so that's just a little bit of fun. The cellularity is